Hello and welcome to a new video here on the Scotland and Bagpipes YouTube channel. Today and in this video I will share super spooky and creepy Halloween stories with you. So you will hear some ghost stories, some scary stuff from Scotland, things that I've experienced myself, things that my friends experienced, and other things that you can research because these are true stories and things that really exist in Scotland. The first thing is a really special one because we discovered the thing, and I call it the thing, after our Scotland trip when we were back home. And it's about the Old Man of Storr on the Isle of Skye, Scotland. And imagine that Old Man of Storr thing, 40 meters high. And I was standing in the middle of these two huge rock formations, and looking up there, I can promise you, is almost terrifying because it's so gigantic. And the legend says that a giant is somehow buried there in the ground, and his thumb sticks out of the ground, and that's what we see when we look at the Old Man of Storr. But what we discovered will blow your minds, because giants? Yes. And what exactly happened? If you look at that footage, it's me flying that drone between these two huge rock formations. From our pipe band, a pipe band member called Astrid. She watched a YouTube video because it's here on YouTube. It's actually on this channel, the Old Man of Storr video. She said she recognized a face of a stone rock giant in the right thing here of the Old Man of Storr. And now I cannot unsee it anymore. I have to say, Astrid, she's an artist and she always sees faces, shapes, things in the nature, and then she creates artwork out of it. So she transforms what she sees into artwork, which is really amazing. I mean, you can even check out her website or her Instagram, and she does that on a regular basis. But that blew me away. Look at the face of the giant. It looks like he's admiring the thing on the left because it's like some trophy, some bigger thing, maybe some bigger spirit, and it's somehow looking up or almost praying to the thing. Imagine the entire body of the giant buried and only the face sticks out. That's some scary stuff, and you can really see the face and imagine that thing moving when you're standing there. The telling of there are some special worlds, some spirit worlds. It's all the thing with Iceland, Ireland, Scotland, these countries, and things that you find in nature, and they are just there and we cannot always see them. But one scary thing is that when we went down from the Old Man of Storr on that specific day, some girl of our pipe band actually said back then, and she didn't mean the huge thing, but she, back then when we didn't discover anything of the huge rock giant, she said she always was looking around when we were up there and she spotted and saw faces in the rocks. And she is not esoteric or something by all means, not slightly, but that's what she said, and that amplifies the whole entire story. Maybe there is something to it. There must be always a little thing true in some legendary stories that people tell each other. And I can say I was up there when the weather wasn't super perfect, windy, stormy, and imagine being up there with no tourists, because the tourists, they add some comfortable feeling because there are other tourists and it's a sunny day. Imagine being up there in Halloween time. It's getting dark, foggy, you cannot see where to go because you have to go back down. You hear some funny and crazy noises, maybe some laughing, some scary laughing, voices, and then you see faces in the rocks. That could at least scare me to death, and you could really panic up there. So imagine that, and it's a true scary story, all that entire thing. Nobody knows what's really going up there. At sometimes at night time, maybe also during daytime. There's even the Fairy Glen in Scotland, so there are so many things we don't know, and that's the first main story. And in this video I always will put in some side stories which I've heard about, and you can do your research. There's the Falkirk Triangle in Scotland, and people always see UFOs, UAPs, doesn't matter what you call it, some lights in the sky, some things flying around the sky, which they say it's not a plane, it's not a drone, it's not a balloon, it's not a kite or something, it's not a fighter jet, it's not a commercial plane, it's something else, and they are sure because it's behaving strange and scary and very in a special way. So if you ever heard of the Falkirk Triangle, something should fly around there, which you can spot sometimes on a weekly basis or even more often. The Falkirk Triangle in Scotland. UFO UAP hotspot. The second main story. And I heard that so many times because I experienced it myself. Light orbs that either lead you to death or just scare you in the woods, in the forest, in Scotland, even Ireland and other countries. And I experienced a basketball-sized light orb in a white glowing light in a jungle. It wasn't Scotland, but that's why I bring up this story, because I experienced it myself. And the thing was that I saw it late at night time, super dark. It was flying in 3 to 4 meters height. It couldn't be someone with a lamp or something, with a torch. Not at all. And it had some special feelings, because the thing is, it doesn't send the light to the distance. As this light here you see, you turn it on and it brightens the table and it brightens the street or whatever, it brightens the woods, the forest, it brightens the jungle. No, it lights, but it's somehow swallowing its own light. Do you know what I mean? And people tell these stories for hundreds of years, Ireland, Scotland there. And I just show you the name, what they call these lights here in the YouTube video down there, because they have some special and different names. And even, as I said, they lead people who are wandering, walking around in the woods to death, because sometimes they get in the moor and they stuck in the mud and the people die because they were following these lights, hypnotized by these lights, and they were just amazed by these lights and they followed them, and that wasn't a good thing. I think even that Disney movie used the story of the lights, because they brought in a scene where the lights lead some girl to somewhere. I don't remember the exact story, but even there, so it is a thing. These light orbs, they are a thing. Some might think it's ball lightning, some might think these are spirits trapped in some light formation. What do you think? Write it down there in the comments. But so many people see these things in the forest and they fly around or just stay stationary, and they are somehow super scary. Imagine now, what would you do in a dark forest and you see some scary lights following you, flying around, and you see and recognize they have some intelligence to it? That could be a scary moment, and that's for sure. I think I don't have to talk about all the noises, ghosts, appearances that people see in Scottish castles on a regular basis. But let me bring everything to cottages or little houses in Scotland, because I stayed on the Outer Hebrides and it's really rough there. In wintertime you think the roof gets taken away because the wind is blowing so hard, even like storms blowing, and you hear it outside is and sometimes, and that really happened, as I said, everything here is really a true story which I experienced. And what happened there, sometimes in Scottish kitchens, and it was the case there, you have in the kitchen some pans and some other cooking equipment hanging on the wall. And from time to time, these things fell suddenly off the wall. And that's a jump scare, believe me, because the cottage, I show you a picture here, stayed in that, and it's super remote. Sometimes you see only dark clouds or just dark night, only black. You don't know what's happening around you. The next house is really far away and you're somehow stuck there because you want to go outside. And you're stuck there, and it's a scary feeling, and then things falling from the wall. And even the scary highlight was there was no TV, but an open fireplace. And sitting there on the couch watching a horror movie on the laptop. And on the highest, scariest point in the horror movie, when they summon ghosts or they like tried to make a ghost appear on that table, you know, when all these Ouija boards, don't know how they call it, thing happening, and that ghost appears in that moment. And that's no joke. That really happened. I was sitting there watching the horror movie, and an empty glass up there on the chimney, what you call it, something exploded. And sure, I was happy to find a solution for myself to believe in that this is not paranormal, this is just normal, because you know there is the fire going, and where you put for Santa Claus all these sock things, and up there you put sometimes pictures, you put there some souvenirs and stuff, and there was a glass standing, and that one exploded. And I said to myself, it was only because of the heat of the fire. But imagine, at the scariest moment in the movie, that thing exploded. I was like, you cannot believe how scared I was watching a horror movie in that house, the wind blowing outside, dark night, you can run nowhere. And then, I mean, it's crazy to watch a horror movie, but where else would you watch a horror movie and you want the real scary experience? So I did that, but then what happened, I never touched a scary movie after that, or a horror movie ever again. And things like that happen, and as I said, things kept on falling from the wall, even sometimes a picture or something. Yes, I can tell you, Scottish, and it was an old cottage, Scottish cottages can be super scary as well, not only castles in Scotland. And let's come to the third main story here, which I experienced. And it was the same night that friends, we rented another cottage that was just holiday. When I experienced the other story I just told you, I was staying there for a year, or altogether for 2 years at the Outer Hebrides. So I experienced that on a regular basis, the scary things. But the next story here, it was holiday, on a vacation, October again, the scary time. And we had a huge house, actually. It wasn't even a cottage, you can call it cottage. It was with an upper floor where there were bedrooms and friends were sleeping, and we were down in the ground floor. And one night I had my new camera, actually the camera I'm filming with right now, and I wanted to take some pictures of the stars, the Milky Way. I love to take some good pictures. And I asked a second person if we want to go with the car far away. It was Pitlochry, the Scottish Pitlochry, and I wanted to go far away because lights always disturb your star photography. Even some small lights, Pitlochry, not a main huge super city Pitlochry, not that, but I wanted to get away miles, kilometers from there, just to have pitch dark, black night, to be focused only on the stars. So we took the car at night time, super late, and the others stayed at the house. And we were driving a land road up the hill and driving for miles and kilometers, and then something really scary happened. Pitlochry was way back. There was nothing, and a man. We were driving slightly slowly because we couldn't believe what our headlights of the car captured, because we were looking at it. There was a man standing. We only saw him from behind, from only his back, and he was staring in the pitch dark black night. And I couldn't believe, is that a real person? What is it? And it looked like a man. It was a man. So for sure, 2 legs, hands, a jacket, but it was super cold out there, and it was, where is that? He's standing in the middle of nowhere. How can he stand there for hours, probably in the cold? Because then I had to put on my jacket for the photography. It was super cold outside, and I was moving and everything, but this man, if it was a man, was just standing. So, and I didn't want to get in the way of the man, so we were driving even further away. Imagine me taking pictures, and then out of nowhere the man appears. That would scare me to death probably. So we were even driving longer and further the same direction, and then I started to put my tripod, the camera, the settings for the camera. It was cold, even I was moving and putting all the equipment out there and taking some pictures. That took time, everything again, putting it back in the car and the tripod back in the car. And what then happened next will shock you, and it shocked me because I already forgot about the man standing there. And then we were driving back down, and I couldn't believe my eyes. And on the same spot, the man was still standing, staring in the pitch dark black night again, or still. And at this point I didn't believe it was something living, it was some puppet, some prop, something not real, and I was so sure. And so I said, yeah, let's drive really slow and I will show you that's not a real person. Put down the window and I say something funny. And at that moment, when I wanted just to say it to prove that's not real, it's not reacting, I want to say something, and it or he turned around. That's really true. I know it sounds like a horror movie, and I was so shocked and scared. It was driving, but it didn't work. It was the manual gear thing, and you couldn't get the right one in, and it took some time, and it was like this, driving in the wrong gear for some meters, some distance, and then getting the right one in, and just driving away. And please, you tell me, who or what was that? It took hours to take the pictures and everything, and that person, middle of nowhere, was still there, and was dressed like old school stuff, old school clothing. And a man, basically. What could that be? Please tell me, because I have no clue. I have no idea at all. And then when we came back the next morning, and the friends sleeping upstairs in the same house as we slept then after we came back. Next morning they told us, in this bedroom, in the other bedroom, all the friends experienced like shaking beds, and I couldn't believe it. And other stuff, furniture that started vibrating, and even the floor vibrating. But we were sleeping the same night when we came back from the stars photo shoot downstairs, and he didn't hear anything. That all happened in one day before Halloween night in October. Because we always go there to watch the Glenfiddich Championship, not always, but often we do that, and that's because we were there again at this time, and that's what we experienced. Some of the craziest nights ever. So is there really something to it? I don't know. But what I know, I hope I could entertain you here on the Scotland and Bagpipes YouTube channel. Here at the Halloween special. It's Halloween time, and hopefully I could share some spooky stories that I really wanted to share, and they are not made up. I hope you enjoyed them. And as I said, let me know in the comments what you think about all that. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next Scotland and Bagpipes video. Some scary vibes here going on. I tried to make some scary environment, even pumpkin here, and some skull. Yeah. So see you in the next video of Scotland and Bagpipes, and bye.